Here we are at the start of Stage 7 in Long Beach with Discovery Channel mechanics Julian De Vries and Vincent G. Guys, talk to us a little bit about what goes in on the last day. It's not like an ordinary day. It seems like the work is compounded by exponent of 10.
Well, the last day you have the most of all work from first day and the last day. Now we must pack. The bike's gone to Europe. Vince must have his stuff for the next race. So it's a lot of work the last day.
So Julian, you're based in Europe and Vince, you're based in US? Or
yeah, we are the same. Vince is the boss in America and I'm the head mechanic in Europe.
And so the team for the training camp, went from training camp to the Tour of California. So all the bikes were here, and now it's time to kind of divvy up what goes where. Who do you work with that? Do you talk to Johan? Do you talk to the riders? How is that sort of organized?
Julian knows all the equipment. Since he's in charge of the warehouse in Europe, he knows that we were ordering so many bikes for training camp, and each person should go home with XYZ at the end of the day. Some of the training camp stuff came here since they went home without bikes, and then after this race, they'll go home with bikes from training camp.
And how many bikes does each rider have? I mean, obviously there's racing bikes, there's training bikes, there's time trial bikes. Can you give us a little bit of a breakdown on who gets what?
Okay, each rider have a home bike, who stay home. And then you have a race bike, and then you have a reserve bike, and then you have a time trial bike, and the guys from the Tour de France have 2 time trial bikes on the roof, one on the roof and one to riding with. And in the middle of the season there are coming again new bikes, so 6 or 7 bikes each bike rider.
Great. Well, guys, what time did you get here today, and what time will you be done this evening?
The chop this evening, I don't think we're going to have a lot of work, Vinny.
We've been doing pretty good packing up all the bikes. We're trying to pre-pack some of the bikes that are like the time trial bikes that were used in Solvang. We're packing those up now because we don't need them for today. Obviously, we have the race bikes on top of the car for today's race. So we're here probably 8:30 this morning trying to get organized, packing bikes, sifting out what rider gets what to go at the end of the day, wheels, bikes, tires, etc. And probably by the end of the day, the race ends at, I believe, 4 o'clock, and we'll probably have at least a couple hours more after that. So 6 o'clock from 8:30 to 6.
What was the most unusual mechanical situation you had to deal with at this Tour of California?
Ooh, that's a good question. Yesterday, because of Antonio's crash, we had to do a little resuscitation on his bike. Give it a little TLC, a little more TLC than usual. Most of the time when we're in a stage race, I want to say it's not easy, but it's a rhythmic routine day. We wash the bikes after they get back. We check it over. We really don't do a whole lot unless it's necessary. We're washing the bikes. We're checking tires. We're going through the gears, but we don't replace cables every day. We don't replace chains every day like people think. We don't overhaul the bottom brackets. If it's good, we leave it. We just clean it up, check it, put it away for the night. So a daily routine is actually pretty nice. But like I said, yesterday Antonio crashed, so we had to do some CPR on his bike.
Julian, how long have you been working as a mechanic for professional racing teams?
I was starting my first Tour de France in 1963.
1963.
Yeah.
Wow. So it seems like a lot of work. It must be a little bit of a labor of love.
Yeah, when you don't like to do this, when you don't like it to do, stop. When you do it for the money, you must stop immediately.
And
Look, we were 5 o'clock away for the time trial.
We left the hotel. We left the San Luis Obispo hotel at like 5:30 to come to drive to Solvang to prepare all the equipment for the time trial, and I think we finished that day probably close to 5 again, so that was a 12-hour day.
It seems like it's maybe a little bit of an unsung profession. I mean, if everything's working right, nobody hears anything about you. It's only when something goes wrong that maybe the finger looks your way.
It's always like this. When everything is okay, nobody says something. When you make very little mistake, we cannot making mistakes, okay? When we are people like everybody with 2 hands, and we can make a mistake.
But I think collectively between Julian, Chris, and I, the 3 mechanics that are here, we have a good checks and balances system. And Julian's over he doesn't watch my work, he doesn't make sure I do it right, but he sees what I do, and he says, "Hey Vince, did you check the ABC?" And I said, "Yeah, I checked the derailleur," and I see Julian doing something, I help him out if he needs help. So we help each other out a lot. We work together very well, and because we're always kind of making sure we all do the right job, I think the mistakes are kept to a minimum.
One last question. Who's the most finicky rider on this Discovery Channel team, and who's the least finicky rider on the Discovery Channel team?
That's a very difficult question. I don't want to answer this.
Okay. Great, well.
Can I ask also a question?
Sure.
Who are you from California?
Colorado.
Colorado. Otherwise, who is the best basketball team in California? The Kings or the Lakers?
The Kings, of course.
Thank you.
Thanks for the time, guys.
Thank you.